pase, pierna derecha, directo al arco, golazo,
The world of football with a soccer perspective. This is Soccer Today with Duane Rollins and Kevin Laramie, live on the Sports Podcasting Network.
Good day, good night. Welcome to Soccer Today for Thursday, April 14th, 2022. I'm Kev Laramie and I'll be joined by Duane Rollins in a second. Thanks for joining us today. Thanks for subscribing to our YouTube channel, clicking that subscribe button and hitting that notification bell. That way you will be notified whenever we have a new YouTube video uploaded. And of course, the podcast version of the show is available everywhere you get your podcast. Busy day ahead. Today is our last show of the week. Tomorrow being Good Friday, we're taking Good Friday off to spend with our good families. And today will be our MLS Week 7 preview show, mixed in with some news in the Canadian Premier League, expansion news for next year, stadium upgrades, and more across the beautiful soccer landscape in North America. But Duane, how are you today?
I'm well, Kevin. How are you? Happy Easter. Happy Easter to everyone.
Yeah, happy Easter to everyone. And of course, it's going to be a busy Easter. And Monday, we'll take a little Easter Monday off too. So next show after today will be Tuesday on all our platforms. Busy show, Duane. And I know you've been really salivating, wanting to talk about the Champions League because your team, Manchester City, has progressed. It has made it all the way to the semifinals. Let's take a look at the scores from yesterday. Atletico Madrid 0, Manchester City 0. It does not explain the game though. The game with the cheapiness, with the sweep the leg karate kid style late in the game, and pushing in the tunnel and shovel, and police was called to separate. A lot of action took place in the Atletico Madrid Manchester City game yesterday.
Yeah, well, no, look, we make hockey references on this podcast all the time. That was a hockey game, man. That was like the Montreal Massacre, like the Easter Monday. What was it?
It was a Good Friday. It was a Good Friday game where like Jean Hamel still has a headache. If you don't know what I'm talking about, Yuri Slegger comes in and hits Jean Hamel. Hey, it's topical. It's Good Friday tomorrow.
It wasn't quite that because that was terrible. What happened? That was like criminal. What happened in that game? But nonetheless, yesterday was pretty bad. Look, Can I be partisan for a second? I think City won the Champions League yesterday in the tunnel because they became a team. This is very Canadian of me. This is very hockey of me. They fought and they battled and they got through that game. But look, it was ugly. It was a terrible game to watch. I can't imagine a neutral enjoying that unless they like fighting because there was a lot of that. But,
unless they're like a boxing fan or something. But
yeah.
It
was a Simeone kind of game. Simeone controlled it. Like even Pep wore all black. Like, did you see what he's wearing? Like they were the same people yesterday. That was a battle royale. Another bingo card reference there because that's
a wrestling reference. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Look. Like I don't even know what to say. Like it was something that I had to deal with, that I had to live with as a fan.
Yeah.
But it was not attractive football, but nonetheless,
it doesn't matter.
They got through.
Exactly. It doesn't matter. First of all, how many toques or hats are they going to sell a la Phil Foden style today? There's going to be a few because Phil Foden, I don't want to call it a turban because that would be dismissive to turban.
Yeah. No,
exactly.
I like the fact that he had two of them. Like,
sure, you're ready. Yeah. Like Scooby-Doo. You take one mask out and there's another mask underneath.
He went in halftime and went, no, I need this to be blue.
Yes, can you make it blue? Perfect, thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, how many things do you think the equipment manager has like this? Like, because he's got everything you need. You want blue? Perfect. I got blue, I got purple, I got pink. Which color do you want, Phil?
I'm assuming he has like sky blue, dark blue, other blues.
I'm assuming he has a whole like room with just fabric, with just like rolls of fabric, and he can do whatever he wants.
No, I mean awesome though. Like it was amazing because like, and Phil, like, look, I'm going to be partisan again. That should have been a red card. He was destroyed in the back of his head. That was a headshot, to use an NHL term. Ridiculous. But anyway, Atleti did everything in their power to be annoying, to be terrible, to destroy that team, but City stood up to him, which is why I think that was a seminal moment in that club's history yesterday, because they stood up to it. They held their ground. They didn't take red cards. They didn't fight back. They did what they had to do to win that game. They didn't win the game. They won the tie.
Exactly. They drew the tie, but they drew the game and they won the tie, which is important. 1-0 on aggregate, which is not the score people would anticipate. Oh, yeah, well, maybe on the Atletico Madrid side. If Madrid would have won, that's like the perfect score. But not City. Like, if City's going to win, they're going to put a couple past the keeper. But they did not need to put a couple past Jan Oblak, the famous goalkeeper for Atletico Madrid. Manchester City got the job done. Let's continue quickly. Here, Liverpool, Benfica, it was... 3-0 in this game? And Benfica came and come back?
3-3.
It was 3-3. Exactly. It finished 3-3, but at one point it was 3-1 Liverpool. And Benfica made a great comeback. It wasn't meant to be. The comeback came too late. But 6-4 in aggregate. It's an honorable loss, I would say, for Benfica. Liverpool now moving on. And I'm quite happy. I really didn't want last night when I went to bed, hoping to wake up today. Because that's always the case, right? You go to bed and you're hoping to wake up the next day. First of all, that's the first thing. Like, okay, if I wake up tomorrow, I really hope Liverpool, Manchester City don't face each other once again in the semifinal. Because if they're going to face each other, it might as well be with silverware on the line. And it will be the case. Manchester City and Liverpool will not face each other in the semifinal, Duane. We will have maybe a replay of this now classic of the Canadian Premier League, of the Premier League. This is the matchup. This is the Liverpool Man City of the 90s, Man United of the 90s. This is the new one. Man City, Liverpool could face each other in the finals, but first, Manchester City, Real Madrid on Tuesday, April 26th, and on April 27th, Liverpool, Villarreal. 2 matchups. There will be maybe 2 English teams in the final, or maybe 2 Spanish teams, who knows? Man City, Real Madrid, Liverpool, Villarreal. What is your thought as a blue about Real Madrid and Karim Benzema in the semifinals?
I actually like that matchup. I think City is the better team. It's ridiculous to me to suggest that City is a better team than Real Madrid, but they are right now. They just are. Look, a Liverpool City Champions League final is the final that every neutral in the world should want. Did you watch last Sunday? But it might destroy me. So I'm gonna need help that day. I might be dead. I'm rocking in the corner like that's what I'm gonna be. But look, they're the 2 best teams in the world, and it should be fun to watch if it happens. But they got to pass Real Madrid first, which is also a challenge.
Yeah, this is definitely also a challenge. And when we look at Real Madrid with the momentum now, it's the 10th time in 12 years they make it to the semifinal. And we'll see how they continue moving forward. Liverpool, Villarreal, Liverpool quickly becoming a favorite in this tournament and will be beating the darlings of Villarreal. Villarreal will run out of magic, of, I guess, Perlin Pimpin. You know, there's the magic powder, abracadabra powder. Well, they're going to run out of it because we're not going to see Villarreal not make it to the final, unfortunately. But it's par for the course.
Look, I'm going to be partisan for a second. I would be happy for Villarreal, I keep mixing that team up, Villarreal to win that game. I would absolutely love to watch Villarreal play Manchester City in the Champions League final. That would be amazing.
Of course you would like it. Because it's an easier path to the trophy, which is fine if you're cheering for City.
And I am. And look, I'm not going to lie. Look, I'm not going to be that guy that does not understand that City Liverpool in a final is what every neutral that doesn't have ethical concerns with how City got their money wants to see.
It's what every rights holder wants to see too. CBS would love to have a Champions League final between Manchester City and Liverpool, the 2 clubs that will draw maybe the biggest viewership in the United States.
Well,
outside of Chelsea with Christian Pulisic clubs.
Well, yeah, Chelsea United would probably be the biggest viewership they could draw on CBS, but yeah, no. Look, that's the best game. Like that game on Sunday, which I was off on Monday, so we didn't talk about it, was incredible. Like, I can view this as, impartially now because I've seen it, and the result went okay for us. But like, it was incredible. The talent on display was amazing. if they play in the Champions League final, it will be a great final because both those teams want to play. No one's going to be sitting back, parking a bus.
Just like
no one.
No Atletico Madrid, I guess that's what he's saying.
Or
others.
Real.
Yeah. That's true. But that could be fun. But anyways, we have the semifinals all set up for the end of the month. 2 weeks from now will be the first legs of the semifinal of the Champions League. Let's now move to our Champions League, Duane, the CONCACAF Champions League, because we do have a final set up there too. Yesterday was the last second leg, I guess. NYCFC was trailing 3-1 heading into the second leg. And yes, this game took place at Red Bull Arena, right? Because the CONCACAF standards oblige a certain amount of seating, a certain amount of press boxes and things available, which means Yankee Stadium ain't working, which means Connecticut ain't working, which means people gotta swallow their pride and go to New Jersey to cheer New York City FC. Santiago Rodriguez scored the equalizer in this one, with Raul Ruidiaz scoring his first goal of the season. 28th minute for the Seattle striker. Fun to see Ruidiaz in shape, in form, and scoring. He is a key to Seattle's glory this year. Once again, look at these statistics, Duane, for NYCFC. They tried. They threw everything, including the kitchen sink, at Seattle. Seattle was able to hold on. 25 shots, 8 on target. That's a lot of shots. That's a lot of Kevlar. All the way to Sean Johnson. 63% possession, 87% passing accuracy. Quite remarkable numbers. 10 corners for NYCFC. But it doesn't matter. The number that matters is 4-2 on aggregate for Seattle. Seattle move into the CCL final versus Pumas. Pumas Unam, Seattle Sounders. That's your 2022 CONCACAF Champions League final.
When you said Sean Johnson, which is the NYCFC keeper, I think he meant Steph Fry, but anyway.
Yes, exactly. Yes, you're right.
Yeah. No, look, I mean, Seattle won this tie in the first leg. New York didn't show up in the first leg. The second leg was them sitting back, them playing score effect, and New York just trying to make it count. And like, I watched this game last night, and although the stats you just gave me are incredible for New York, they didn't seem as dominant as you suggest by the numbers, right? Like, Seattle won the tie, and Seattle deserves to be, this is hard, I'm gonna have to swallow hard right now. Seattle deserves possibly, maybe, perhaps, to be the team that ends this for MLS, because they have been the best team in MLS in the last 10 years. However, I'm going to say it right now. I am not MLS for. I do not want an MLS team to win this. I want Pumas to win this because I want Toronto to win this first. That's petty. I get that, but here I am.
Dwave's a homer today, piling on Manchester City, and now he's going all TFC. Sure,
it's Friday, man. It's Good Friday. Give me a break.
Sure. It's Thursday. Feels like a Friday.
I'm up on chocolate.
Dwayne, stay off the chocolate. It's not good for you. It's not bad. There's worse things for you than chocolate. But that being said, that's about it for the CCL for now. We have a final. We'll see who between Seattle and Pumas wins. We'll have time to break it down over the next few weeks looking at this final. But is it finally the time that a team in Major League Soccer wins this? If we're looking at the MLS standings, which we will later in the show, Seattle hasn't prioritized the league. It's clear. We're seeing in the results. If they can win this and then bridge that gap and become a playoff contending team later this season in MLS, when they were able to have the cake and eat it too. If not, they'll sacrifice their season for CCL glory. If it's once in a while, maybe it's worth it. But those are great ways to think about it, and we can't judge that right now. We need to know if they will make the playoffs and be successful in MLS so far to judge that journey. We'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll talk about a new team in the Canadian Premier League for 2023, some competition for Vancouver. We'll also talk about an expanded Starlight Stadium and what needs to happen for this stadium to go all the way to 10,000 seats. And of course, our famous Major League Soccer weekend preview. That and more after this short break.
You are listening to Soccer Today. Follow us on Twitter at SoccerTodaySPN and like our Facebook page, facebook.com/Sports Podcasting Network. You can find the podcast version of all the shows we do on iTunes, Apple Podcast, Google Play Store, TuneIn Radio, iHeartRadio, and anywhere you get your podcast.
And we're back on Soccer Today. Kev Laramie with Duane Rollins in a second. Thank you for joining us in the second segment of today's show. We will be talking about the Canadian Premier League and the new team joining the league in 2023. I'm of course referring to Langley, British Columbia, Fraser Valley region, long rumored and finally confirmed. We've been talking about this for almost a year now on this show and other places where we are expected to see a team. It will be official. It will be 6-5 Sports, which is the ownership group made majoritively of Dean Shillington, Rob Friend, and Josh Simpson. Langley, British Columbia will be the location for Vancouver 23 CanPL team. It will be the 9th club in the Canadian Premier League. It will be the second of an expansion club after Atletico Ottawa a couple seasons ago. Where is Langley, British Columbia, you say? It is 45 kilometers east of Vancouver. It is where the Willoughby Community Park Stadium is, and that's where Trinity Western University plays. If you are a U Sports fanatic, you know where that is. And it is to begin play in 2023. It will be an odd number of teams, so maybe more teams to be announced in 2023 or 2024. Still no teams in Quebec. It is needed. A team is needed in Quebec for sure to represent a big part of this nation. 28% of this country, to be fair, is not even represented in that just one part. There's more of this country that's not represented so far. But 2023, a team in the Lower Mainland, Fraser Valley region. Vancouver Whitecaps will have some competition, and shots were fired across the bow yesterday when Rob Friend was mentioning the goals of his new franchise: to be close to the community, to work in the community, to make the community feel proud of themselves. Those are great quotes, and I have to say, it's game on. Game on, Vancouver.
Yeah, no, look, those are shots across the bow, and they're deserved shots. And I don't want to bash on the Whitecaps that much. I mean, I always want to bash on the Whitecaps a little bit. I'm sorry. I'm very, very partisan today. But anyway, look, I'm glad you mentioned the fact that there's not a team in Quebec yet, because that, or French Canada for that matter, because that is something that really needs to be addressed quickly. If you're listing CanPL, like, even if you have to buy the franchise yourself, you should be there soon. I mean, Ottawa sort of, I guess, but come on, get in to Quebec. It's a very important part of our country. But that said, Vancouver has a lot of history in this game, is a very important part of this country when it comes to soccer. Call the team the 86ers.
I was going to say, yeah, do you go there or do you just reference in some way? But you gotta do something.
It's the if you don't call them the 86ers, I'm gonna have words. Okay?
I have an idea.
Come
though.
on, it's right there for you.
You can call them the Southsiders. Ooh.
Oh, well, you know.
That could work, Duane. That could work.
Well, more the East Siders, based on the geography out there. Look,
yeah, but it's more based on the supporters group, right? And that would actually.
Which I'm sure that there's going to be some Southsiders that decide to cross the divide, which is the point that those shots across the bow are getting to. Like, the Whitecaps have had an awkward time in the last few years with all of the stuff that we've talked about in the show that needs to be talked about, that should be talked about. And some of it's out of their control, but a lot of it isn't. So if you have a community-based team that is a team to be proud of, you're going to find fans, and it's going to be interesting to see whether that team wins. Like, here in Toronto, we got York, we got TFC. York is not really connecting with the audience here, and I don't want to bash them with that. I wish them nothing but success, but they don't have that in the way that this team does. So it'll be very important for the Whitecaps to understand that there's going to be competition there and to respond accordingly. And that's all I'm going to say on that.
Well, definitely. And to me, it'll be very interesting to see also the branding of it, the color scheme, and everything surrounding it. Because, sorry, go ahead.
86ers.
I know. You say 86ers.
I was just repeating. I was mouthing it. I'm sorry. 86. 8-6. That's your brand. Rob, are you listening? 86ers.
We'll see about the copyrights, of course, for that, because there's also that aspect that needs to be looked. If they can't have the rights because they're owned by somebody else, that could be the case. But that could be an interesting aspect, because so far in the Canadian Premier League, they haven't really gone full force with the nod to the past. Even if we're looking at Hamilton, they did not go with the Steelers name, which was the name of the old soccer team back in the day. They've alluded to it with a brand new identity, and I think it's going to be the same thing in the Lower Mainland for the Fraser Valley team. Good luck to everybody involved, and especially the players that will have one more shot, one more opportunity at playing pro, because that's what it's all about. Speaking of opportunity, Duane, Starlight, Starbright, amazing new stadium that has been built up and will continue to be built up once the infamous hydro pole is removed. That's the condition. But once the pole is removed, Starlight Stadium is to be expanded to 10,000 seats. Quite a day for 6-5 Sports yesterday. On top of the Lower Mainland team being announced, it was also announced as Starlight Stadium to be expanded to 10,000 seats. Great weekend at Starlight Stadium with the Golden Medal Celebration Tour wrapping up. Stephanie Lebey's career wrapping up at that stadium too. And all the best to Stephanie Lebey if she's watching. We always appreciated every time she's been on the show. We've exchanged with her. She's always been a great player for the national team. But this stadium is maybe the biggest success of the Canadian Premier League so far. Not just the stadium, the team of course, but the fact that you're going to upgrade now a stadium that didn't exist a few years ago all the way to 10,000. And that stadium has been used for rugby games, it's been used for more than just soccer, and has been embraced by the community. And to me, that is the biggest soft benefit of the Canadian Premier League since its launch. It's Starlight Stadium.
Good 5 rings reference there with the soft benefit. But yeah, 2 things there. First off, Steph, thank you. You're appreciated. You're a smart woman, and I always enjoy talking to you. And I'm happy you had a great career and a great way to go out. But Starlight, look, it looks like a really cool place to watch a game. I really want to get out there soon. Pandemic's over. Well, it's not over, but you know what I mean. Like, basically, I can travel there now if I want. I would really like to watch a game there because it looks like a really fun place to watch a game. It really embodies the joy of soccer in a BC perspective, more than BC place, if I'm being honest. So yeah, I really appreciate that it's going to get a little bigger. I hope that they don't lose the coziness of it, because that's part of the joy.
But I think the 10,000 is just a perfect size too, because you'll have the same look with the same height of seating all around. It'll be reminiscing probably of early Stade Saputo, which could be great, but the colors of the seating and everything makes for a beautiful sight in Starlight and Victoria, in that part, of course, on Vancouver Island. It's a great place, and I'm looking forward to visiting one day for sure, but looking forward to see a 10,000 crowd for a CanPL game. That'll be fun to see. Speaking of fun to see, big weekend in Major League Soccer. Before we look at the games, let's look at the standings and remind ourselves what's at stake this weekend in the league. Best team in the Eastern Conference is Philadelphia. Best team in the league, if you ask myself. Montreal will play Philadelphia next week, by the way. If you are a CF Montreal fan, keep an eye on their schedule this weekend. LAFC and LA Galaxy are the 2 best teams in the Western Conference, and we'll look at their opponents. We have quite a fun weekend. I have to say, Duane, I enjoying the games that we're going to see this weekend. Montreal-Vancouver, an all-Canadian affair to start your Saturday. 3 p.m. Eastern, first game at Stade Saputo this season. It will be fun to see the crowd back and to see Vancouver with their biannual trip to Montreal. They only come to Montreal once every 2 years, and it's been a while now since they came to Montreal. It'll be fun to see Vancouver in real life because, I'll be quite frank, Vancouver on the road this season. 0 wins, 3 losses, 0 draws, 2 goals for, 11 goals against. That's the Vancouver Whitecaps on the roll this season.
Yeah, Montreal's got to win that game.
And if they do, they're the hottest team in MLS, by the way. But yeah.
Well, there you go. Yeah, look, what do we call that rivalry? Like the Canadian Classique is.
It's a. You know what you call that rivalry? I don't remember. That's what you call it.
Oh yeah, you're there too. We're really bashing on Vancouver today.
Je me souviens, okay? Remember that?
There you go.
Asun Kamara running in the background. You see the banner, Je me souviens, because they're trying to make fun of the fans.
I remember.
They remember, and so do we, Vancouver. So do we.
Yeah. Oh, that game was amazing.
That goal, 83rd minute. The biggest goal in Asun Kamara's career. A bicycle.
The rain coming down.
A bicycle kick, too. Come on. That was amazing time. Canadian Championship final, by the way.
If you're new to us, just, Google it.
2013 Canadian Championship. That's what you need to look for.
Yeah. And, we really didn't deserve to win. By we, it's Toronto. Anyway, look, Montreal needs to win this. Vancouver's not a good team. They aren't. And they are skating by on the fact that they got hot for 4 months last year and had a striker that played out of the skin for a while. And we said this in the previews all year. How many goals do they have on the road again?
They have only 2. But last year, also 12 goals for Brian White in 27 games for the Vancouver Whitecaps. Out of those 12 goals, only a 9.1 expected goal, which is 3 goals over expectations, which is a quarter of his production, which means he played 25% over his normal production.
Which means he was lucky.
Exactly. But also that he hasn't scored, hasn't done anything this year so far. And that's what you're seeing for Vancouver. Also, that 23 games unbeaten streak they had, well, half of those were under Mark Dos Santos. Let's not forget that. Sorry, Vanny. I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer here. I just like to be corrected and looked at as a whole and not just segmented.
Well, look, we are Debbie Downer. That is our job. The Soccer Today is the show that's going to tell you truth. It's going to tell you truth in the Vancouver Whitecaps perspective that they overperformed for half of a year last year and barely squeaked into a playoffs that is bloated anyway. And suddenly everyone was blowing smoke up their elbow. Smoke up their elbow. That's where the smoke has been.
I was going to say smoke up their sartini.
Yeah, there you go. So, exactly. And look, the Whitecaps, we mentioned it earlier, they have issues off the pitch that they need to deal with that they haven't really dealt with yet. We'll talk about that another day. They also need to spend money to be a competitive team in this league. So,
Lucas Cavallini has a goal every 4 games, 3.5 to be precise, which is not bad, but it's not what he was paid for anyways. That will be a big thing to break down the road when we're looking at Vancouver later this year, because I have a feeling we're going to have time to break down Vancouver's season before the season is over.
Yeah, they might win the winning spoon.
Well, they might win the winning spoon with weeks to spare. All right, let's continue. San Jose, Nashville. Interesting matchup. Can San Jose get a victory? Will San Jose ever win a game again? That's my question. Will the San Jose Earthquake ever win a game again? Because they're the only team in MLS without a win so far. Is it this weekend? No, they're not going to beat Nashville, but maybe doing.
They will win a game again. Go on.
Yeah, sure. Atlanta, Cincinnati is an interesting matchup. Atlanta will have probably Luis Arroyo back, but no Josef Martinez, no Mateus Rossetto, and a couple more injuries for Atlanta. It's not going well for the Five Stripes. The Five Stripes are more like 5 bandages at this point. Houston, Portland, interesting matchup. Houston can continue their surprising season. Portland is having some sort of a hangover. Keep an eye on this. It's early on still. FC Dallas, though, is having a good season. New York, too. Something's got to give on that one. Columbus, Orlando. I like that matchup. Columbus is sneakily good. Orlando is right where I thought they were going to be. 4th, 5th, battling to stay there. Interesting matchup at 7:30, which, by the way, 7:30 is the favorite time slot tomorrow. 4 games at 7:30, 1 at 7 and 1 at 8. So if you have 6 screens available, you can have quite a busy evening watching Major League Soccer, Duane.
Of course, yeah. Look, no, it's going to be a good day. And you said tomorrow, you mean Saturday, because we're taking Good Friday off.
Yeah, if you're watching this on Friday, it is tomorrow.
Exactly. Whatever tomorrow is, tomorrow. No.
So, can Charlotte shock the world, and can Charlotte beat New England? Because that's the one I think that might happen. New England is struggling. New England is not looking like a world beater, not looking at a Supporters' Shield winner from last year. And Charlotte could surprise everyone. They won 1-0 against Atlanta on a almost Olympico last weekend. And Charlotte could surprise everyone by beating New England, the Supporters Shield winners.
Is Tajon Buchanan better than we think? Basically, this would have come down to this. Like,
I thought the same thing. And
yeah,
let's be fair with New England, because since then I actually talked with one of our listeners, Jordan, if you're listening. Hello, Jordan. And we exchanged words on DM. We used to actually play FIFA together back in the day when I had time to play that type of things. Exactly, yeah, with the times and everything.
Yeah.
But you're looking at their lineup, and there was no Boo, no Adam Busa. Callis Hill is there scoring, but you don't have the rest of your two best strikers. Your defense is questionable. You didn't really replace your Tajon Buchanan. And here's a surprising one for you, Duane. Guess who's injured already? Guess who's on the injured list of New England?
Hamstring?
Josie Altador on the injured list.
I
told you so.
I wish Josie well, but yeah. Toronto has found Jesus, and we're happier for them. So that's all I'm going to say.
It is the Easter weekend. And Toronto has found Jesus. Jesus Jimenez is doing great with Toronto FC. Let's quickly finish this weekend before we start talking about more Easter joke. Chicago LA Galaxy, that's a funny game on Saturday night. Toronto FC Philadelphia, that's a difficult one for TFC. I know TFC is happy with their 2-2 draw against Real Salt Lake last weekend. Salt Lake's a good team in the Western Conference so far, surprising a lot of people. But Philly is the best team in the East, best team in the West, best team in the league. And Toronto FC, well, if the kids are not showing up to the same level as last week, this might be a difficult one. Like, I will have Philly players on my fantasy team. Definitely.
Touche. And look, what I'll say from a TFC perspective is that I think this team is league average, which is better than I thought they would be heading into the season. So good for Bob Bradley. And the kid, you mentioned the kids last week. The kids were amazing last week. That game was incredible last week. Thompson,
Nelson
with that 35-year strike, and that was not a foul.
No.
That was the right call. Should not have been reversed. Thank God. Shoot far into the sky regardless, but nonetheless, look, it's okay. You're right, though. Philly is better right now, but this is a great test for TFC. If you're a TFC fan, don't expect anything. If you get anything, then enjoy it.
You mentioned Thompson and Nelson back to back. That sounds like a law firm. Welcome. Have you been injured in a traffic incident? Well, contact the firm of Thompson, Nelson, and Osorio, your famous lawyers from Toronto. All right, stop with the pleasantries. The Fire against LA Galaxy, that's a low-key matchup of the weekend. The Galaxy are firing on all cylinders, and Chicago Fire are red hot. No, well, pun intended. The pun was intended. But the red hot Chicago Fire against the really hot Galaxy is going to be a good one. Minnesota, Colorado, well, you might skip that one because you're going to be watching Chicago, which is great. Seattle, Miami is a late game on Saturday. NYCFC Salt Lake, and Kansas City traveling to LAFC on Sunday. Outside of the TFC game, which one would you not miss this weekend?
Good question. Actually, the game I won't miss this weekend is the Canadian. It's Montreal, Vancouver, because I want to see those two teams I follow very closely, and I want to see whether the Whitecaps, who have been half-assed, okay, kind of, sort of, the last couple of weeks, but haven't been scoring, whether they can overcome a Montreal team that I do not think has performed to their abilities yet. So that's the deal.
And on that note, Duane, they have one of the best attacks already in the league. So imagine if they perform the way they're supposed to. They're going to keep scoring goals, and it's going to be a dangerous Montreal team, like I've been saying all along. They had the hardest calendar. We're going to have to stop the show very soon, but they had the hardest few first games in the league, 6 out of 8 on the road against great teams in the East and the West. So a difficult calendar to start the season, and so far, so good.
If you want to be a hipster, we all want to be hipsters, right? If you want to be a hipster, start talking up Montreal Impact-ish team for CF Montreal Impact-ish.
Yeah, in the playoffs. And Mihailovic for, if you have odds for Mihailovic as your MVP, buy it right away.
He's not going to win the MVP. Do not bet on that. But Georgie as your MVP is the hipster pick.
For sure.
Period.
For sure. And if Callis Hill gets injured, it's Georgi Mihailovic to lose. But on that note, we'll be back on Tuesday, an extended weekend for Duane and I as we celebrate Easter, of course, here in Canada. And of course, if you're celebrating something else, good for you also. We hope that you're safe. If you're going to watch your family and spend time with your family, make sure everybody is safe this weekend. It's going to be a difficult time. If you're going to Stade Saputo, we'll see each other on Saturday. And of course, you can subscribe to our YouTube page, youtube.com/sports podcast network podcast version of this show, available everywhere you find your podcast. And of course, you can find the live version of this show on our YouTube page and Twitter page, twitter.com/soccertodaysbn, youtube.com/sports podcasting network, or even easier, just go to sportspodcastingnetwork.com and you'll find all the links for all the shows. But as always, until next time, for Duane Rollins, I'm Kev Laramie, and we wish you a great soccer.